Yeah. What it do? This is athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We in the place to be in the good old Tampa Bay. Once again, it's still cool outside. That's why I got my little turtleneck sweater on, you know, trying to keep warm and chill. But man, what a weekend, what a weekend, what a weekend. My partner in crime should be coming in soon. But in the meantime, let me run down what's going on in the world of sports and entertainment. We'll start off. That's the beautiful thing about sports and entertainment. It is sports and entertainment. And the Super Bowl was the culmination of a mastermind, no matter however you may feel about anything political. It was a great game. It went back and forth. It was very competitive. But the halftime show is what everybody's talking about. Hip hop was on the map. Now, some people would say this was the best halftime show ever. Me personally, can't say that. When you had Michael Jackson, you had Prince with their great halftime shows. So, but from a hip hop perspective, it's definitely number one. From a nostalgic perspective, one of my friends mentioned Generation X was on the map, basically, to show millennials, and not to just say that we're trying to show off, just to demonstrate the power of having timeless music. When Dr. Dre at age 56 is able to drop all the singles that he put out, Still Dre, 50 Cent in the Club, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige. And, to me, it was still an appetizer because at that point you were ready for like, okay, wait a minute, what about the rest of the songs? So, and the setting was great. I want to give a big shout out to Jesse Collins. Jesse Collins has been doing a lot of the presentations out there from he's doing the Emmys, the Oscars, he's as the production man, the BET Awards, he just did the Real Husbands of Hollywood. A big shout out to my man Dwayne Martin Shake from Brooklyn, my fellow NYU alumni. Used to play ball with Dwayne back in the days. Real Husband of Hollywood, and big shout out to as well to Chris Spencer, the executive producer on the show with Kevin Hart. What's up, my Mitches? I mean, that is one of my favorite shows. They started streaming. You got a big shout out to Will Smith and Bel Air. Also, another big shout out to there's so many people to name. I mean, let's just talk about the Super Bowl and the halftime special. This was all curated by Jay-Z and Roc Nation. And so, as I bring in my guest in a couple of minutes, one of the things I really want to talk about, and that's the reason why it's so important to understand the business of real estate and the business of doing deals, is that the owner of the Rams is a relative of the Waltons, which is Walmart. A lot of people don't know that. When you have wealth, you need some real estate to offset some of your gains. And we'll talk about this with our expert that we have here locally here in Tampa. And that's what makes it a major power move. The other power move is going back to Roc Nation curating the halftime show, being able to play his record, Still Dre, which is a classic. But Dr. Dre didn't write that record. Snoop didn't write that record. Jay-Z wrote that record. And when that record gets played at the halftime show, he is cha-chinging off of the publishing off that record. Not only that, now it's in memoriam, because now when they sell the archives of the Super Bowl, and anytime people watch it, they gotta pay royalties on that record. How genius is that? That is the power move, guys. That's why it's so important to own as much content, as much physical or virtual, whether it's in the metaverse, whether it's in the real verse, whether it's in intellectual property. That's what's going to really get you to your wealth. So I just wanted to, just share that with you. If you have any questions, 917-540-8274. Text me and I'll give you a one-to-one education on how Jay-Z really, put that whole package together. And then you have Mary, you have Snoop. Now keep in mind, Snoop has the vodka, which we had about a year ago. Keenan Towns, his business partner on the Indigo Gin, they got that going. Snoop just bought Death Row Records right before they announced it, right before the Super Bowl. Mary J. Blige launched her label and her album right before the Super Bowl. So that Friday, both albums came out, and I like to tell you, both albums are fire. The Mary J. Blige album is awesome. The Snoop album, the Back on Death Row, is awesome. The production is wonderful. Go listen to it, streaming on all your platforms. And then you have, Eminem doing his thing. 50 Cent has his TV deals with Power and Force. So it goes to show you, don't limit yourself to just one thing. Be an expert at the one thing, be known for it, so that it allows you to be branched off into others. So with that being said, and then before I get into that, let me go into a little bit of the sports, because Kevin is not here. So we're gonna jump into these trades. So the trade actually went down last Thursday. James Harden goes to Philadelphia. James Harden wanted to go to Philadelphia in the first place, but because the Nets came in at the last minute and offered him a better deal, he took the deal, he took the money and ran, but now he's at the place where he wants to be. And so to speak, there was some type of underlying disagreements between him and Kyrie, whatever. Now, Philadelphia is able to unload Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, they're saying, I think he's mentally right to play ball now. So we'll see when he'll come back into the fold, probably after the All-Star break. James Harden's not going to play for the Philadelphia Sixers till after the All-Star break. But the Brooklyn Nets got a good deal. They got a great shooter in Seth Curry. They got a defensive presence in Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond and Griffin are playing together. So I think Brooklyn is looking really good. On the West Coast side, Lakers are struggling. Golden State is somewhat struggling. The Phoenix Suns are kicking butt. Just on the NBA side, baseball, they're going through their collective bargaining talks, and in a couple of weeks, we might have some interesting news locally in Tampa that I can't disclose, but it's coming soon. Let's see what else is happening in the world of sports. Of course, we know about the Super Bowl and the Rams winning, and big shout out to OBJ. I'm so happy for him and getting this championship with all the injury, the heartache that this poor brother has gone through, and now he finally got himself a championship ring. So, this show today is really a continuation of last week. And just to get you guys up to speed, I'm going to do the quick bio again. The gentleman that we have today is originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the name of and he's just let you know, he's very passionate about commercial and residential clients to achieving more of the American dream by becoming real estate investors and homeowners. He has a proactive, analytical, get the job done approach because of his engineering background. that he brings to the real estate industry. In 2007, he began investing in the Tampa Bay, which in 2007, that's when the market was kind of shaky, right? It was overpriced. But then in 2013, he obtained his broker's license, became a master to fulfill his need to lead and love other skilled agents specializing in providing quality, responsive real estate services within the Tampa Bay area. The companies that he leads are many: Carmena Enterprises, Inc., Carmena and Associates Realty, Paynight Services Global, Blue Vista Homes, Carmena Entertainment, and online streaming BTV 360, which he's going to talk a little bit more about, and his now new real estate Paynight Real Estate School for the whole state of Florida, and his new construction company. And just to let you know, he does a corner class, 100% free masterclass designed to teach new investors how to start and win in real estate. He's also the military ambassador for the Greater Tampa Bay Real Estate Association, providing real estate services to servicemen stationed at MacDill Air Force Base. And he's a veteran himself. So we want to thank him for his service and thank him for the service he's doing here in the Tampa Bay area. This is Black History Month, and he's going to be making history here in Tampa Bay if he's not doing it already. Let's welcome to the show, David Carmena.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Welcome
back.
How
you guys doing? How you doing?
We doing awesome, man. We doing awesome, man. We had a great Super Bowl.
Jay-Z, when you think about, multiple streams of income, having 7 streams, Jay-Z has like 7,000 streams of income. I mean, that's awesome. That's right. Awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it goes back to, and, we'll bleed into the next segment, but I want to ask you a real brief, quick question. With the different companies that you have, why is that important in having different streams of income in the real estate industry?
Right. So it's all about having multiple bites at the apple. The real estate transaction is really not just one transaction. It's many transactions that culminate in the transfer of property from one individual to the other individual. There are an agent that helps you select a home. There's an agent that sells you the home. There's a person that does the inspection. There's a mortgage person, insurance person. There's someone to help you move in potentially. There's a lot of different parts of that transaction, and so the more pieces that you can participate in, the more opportunity that you have to make off of that one transaction. So if you got 7 bites of the apple, then and you have one apple, then you can participate in multiple ways of helping that transaction, ultimately helping the buyer sell the property or purchase the property, or the seller sell the property, and you get more streams of income off of that one transaction. So it's important that if you're smart, then you want to try to have more than just one stream of income from that one transaction.
Now, I love the fact, can you explain to folks the importance of, a lot of times people think of, oh man, businesses, right? But really a business is a stream of income. Can you explain that in less than 45 seconds, how to understand that concept? Because sometimes people are like, well, you got so many different businesses, how do you handle it? But really, what you're really managing is streams of income. Can you explain why that's important?
That is exactly it. At the end of the day, a business, a for-profit business, you want to make money from it. And so you want to manage that company so that it will be profitable in whatever it's doing. So if you think about going back to real estate, if you think about, I have 4 or 5 different companies. All 4 or 5 different companies are in its own niche, and you want that company to be profitable in its own niche. So should one of the niches fall short, like for instance, you mentioned earlier that I started the real estate business in 2007, right before the market crash.
I mean, you know what? Hold that thought, because you mentioned crash. It's time for us to crash into our commercial break. So we'll be right back, and we're going to continue right off. Once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you after the break. All right, we back. This is Power Moves here only on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone is a star. So we were talking to our distinguished real estate expert and entrepreneur here, David Carmena, as well as humanitarian. And we're talking about the importance of understanding that businesses are sources of income. And you have to diversify, and you have to understand the many aspects of a transaction in real estate and try to get as many bites into, as he says eloquently, the apple to be able to, be profitable, as well as, push the transaction to completion. In addition to that, he says he left off that in 2007, because of the crash, and that's when we have to go to break. So continue on from there, David.
Well, we was talking about multiple streams and having to pivot in some cases. 2007, like you said, the market was overinflated. We was in a bubble, and when the bubble burst, a lot of people got caught. They were they were flippers. That's all they knew, and now their portfolio is now worth 2/3 less than it was a month ago. A lot of people lost a lot of money, but if that person would have pivoted to a buy and hold person and rented out that property like I was lucky enough to do, then they would be sitting on the gold mine now, because they bought at 20% to 30% on a dollar, and now it's worth 120% on a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is the equity in the house is 100% more they over time they've rented that house for 10 years. So they've
Mm-hmm.
gotten all their money from renting it, and now the equity is just sitting there ready to be used in another way. They can cash out, refinance, or they can sell the property outright.
I'm happy you talked about that. So that's one aspect of what you're doing, because we're now in our money segment. So it's all about this money. So you got to show us the money, baby. Show us the money. So you got Carmina Realty, and then break down all the different businesses that you have and how it works for your overall enterprises.
Awesome. So I'm a broker, and I have a traditional brokerage. So when you think about agents and buying and selling real estate, that is Carmina and Associates Realty Group. But then also I started as an investor. So I have a property management company which helps investors hold their property and rent their property out. And when you think about a lot of properties that may be in an A condition, maybe B condition, maybe C condition, investors want to add value to that property. They want to fix it up so that they can either rent it or sell it or both. Well, we have a company that does that. We have a Carmina Enterprises. Under the Carmina Enterprises umbrella, we have a company, Carmina Construction and Renovation, that renovates those properties for investors and other people now. We started off primarily working with investors and not the general public, because that's kind of that was our base. That's what I knew. That was my comfort level. As we grew, we wanted to. I'm passionate, very passionate about helping people learn how to play the game. As I mentioned last show, I have an engineering degree, but when I think about the money, the residual money that I made, the money that don't require my effort, the licensing money, it all came from real estate. So I wanted to help people learn how to play the game. So I started Corner Class Tampa, where like I said, it's a master class that teaches young, aspiring investors how to invest in today's market. But if you take that to the next level, there's a couple of the investors that wanted a license, wanted to get their real estate license. So I partnered with Ann, my business partner, on Paynight International School of Real Estate, that will teach people how to get a real estate license, go through the necessary state requirements, and help them pass the test to become a real estate agent, which they can then be employed by my traditional agency brokerage, Carmina and Associates Realty Group. So they all kind of help and be affiliates of each other. We have another company that does all new builds, Blue Vista Homes, and then lastly we have another company that does renovations, buy and hold renovations, which is a Carmina Acquisition. So those companies are all in the real estate space, and they all help each other.
Can you explain? I mean, that you did a great job of just describing each one of your different revenue streams and businesses. Can you explain how everything works together as one and what's the benefit of doing all of that and making sure that, and remember, you forgot to mention that you have your entertainment marketing company, right?
I always leave those guys out. I forget. That is true. When you have a lot of companies, you want to maintain and kind of control your story. And you have to tell your story, but then also you want a common voice across multiple companies. So Carmina Entertainment is that company that does that for our brand and others. And so those guys are awesome. All of the graphics that we have here with the screensaver, that was these guys. Yesterday they did something because I wanted to have something fresh for the show. All of the social media, the commercials that we do, the videos that we post for Corner Class Tampa and others. We're doing that. Initially, we started doing that for Camina Brands, but we're now doing it for other entities and other companies that are saying, "Hey, David, you guys are cool. Could you do that for us?" And so that is really a company that's taken off and blossomed.
So yeah, so could you explain why is it important? Another reason besides the profit and being able to have all the bits of a major percentage of the pie, so to speak, or the apple, right?
Right.
What are the other benefits of having different aspects of your business from another business perspective? And I'm going to see if you're going to catch what I'm saying from a building wealth in terms of when we talk about profit and loss, and you have all these different divisions, but it's all encapsulated in the transaction. What is the other benefit of that as well?
Sure. I think maybe alluding to, well, there's two things. One is you kind of control the process. If you, there's a couple of things that will cause a real estate deal to go sour. One is the buyer not qualifying for whatever reason. They can't get a loan, that the credit, something happens with the credit at the last minute, that type of thing. Another thing is something happens on the sales side that you don't know about. There's a lien that someone put on a home, or there's some type of hidden fault to the home. It's on, it's a sinkhole in a home somewhere, something like that. The agents involved sometimes will sour the deal. So if you can control as many pieces of the pie, you can control the transaction. Now, there's a third-party evaluation system. So the appraiser is a third-party, non-partial entity. Whatever happens with the valuation of the home is it. It's just the way it is. Not much you can do there. But you want to try to control as many pieces of the pie as you can. But when you think about a holding company, which is what Camina Enterprises is, if you have positive streams of income, there are some companies that you may lose money in. And so when you think about maintaining your tax base, and I'm not sure this is where you go, but it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. So if you, if you can show to the taxes that, hey, listen, I made $500,000 in this one company profit, but look, I lost 100,000 in this company because I'm putting money in to ramp it up. Well, if you have a holding company, the holding company will allow you to adjust. It takes the profit from one, the loss from whatever, and then it reports the difference to the IRS. So I think that the holding company aspect is pretty important. But then also, the more pieces of the pie you control, the more you can help, and the more you can dictate. You talk about power moves. The more you can dictate the process. I was reading about this one Hannah Street project that's in Tampa. And the city of Tampa wants a 35% minority to be part of that process. 35% minorities, whether that's some their construction or their acquisition or something like that. They want a 35% minority participation. But when you control the process, you don't have to say, well, city, I want 35%. You control that. You can say, hey, listen, I want 60% minority participation. I want 80% minority participation, because you control the process. And that's why it's important to be the boss. When you sit at the table, you bring in the table. You're at the head of the table. You get to decide. And I think that as we talk about, and I know earlier in the segment, we talk about partnering and partnerships. That's why it's so important, because now you have like-minded individuals that look like you around the table making the decisions. And I guarantee that if someone is representing you at a table, if someone is your advocate at the table, you get a better deal.
Absolutely. Well, like we said here in Power Moves, it's all about getting the best deal possible. So, on that note, we got to pay some bills because that's the deal. All right. So, once again, this is Power Moves with celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We'll see you after the break. All right, we back with David Carmena. We back with my partner in crime, Mr. Career Crossover. Kevin Carr in the place to be.
Man, if it was any better, it'd be two of me. Although I have a twin, I can't be everywhere. The duty calls, family, I had to take care of that. Sorry, we're here now. And back in the building.
It's all good. It's all good, brother. So we're here chopping it up with my man David Carmena. I keep messing around with his name. I see Carmena.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna keep it that. I'm keeping that.
You know what I'm saying? But we just wrapped up the money segment where we was talking about the money moves and how intricate it is to have. People think of just businesses, but it's not about the business. It's about the sources of income and making sure the sources of income are profitable. We talked about the importance of creating a holding company so that at the end of the end of the day, it's about not how much money you make, but how much money you keep. Because that's what you're going to get taxed on, right? So, in understanding the machinations of that. Now we're getting ready to roll into the power segment. And it was great because the way David ended the last segment, he talked about, the Hannah Street project that's happening right here locally in Tampa, where the mayor is saying, hey, we're looking for minority 35% participation. And the challenge about that is, and this is where we're going to go into his power segment, is if we own it, the mayor can't tell us how much of a participation percentage that's going to be involved. We would be able to dictate that. So, David, in your opinion, you've been in the Tampa Bay area for quite some time. What is it that we need to? What is the power move that we need to do that you see with Tampa being now the number one destination all across the country in real estate and things of that nature? What do you think that we need to do to make a power move that our audience and listeners need to take advantage, besides making sure that, number one, that they take your master class?
Well, the master class is great for to help people learn how to play the game. But when you start thinking about larger and larger projects, you start thinking about what is the capacity of any one individual company. More likely than not, you when you start talking about these larger jobs, the reason why the people out of California got the job, and no shading on them, is that they had the capacity and the experience to do the job. That is part of the qualification process. A lot of times, minority company does not have the capacity or they just got the capacity and they don't have no experience with that type of job. So if we partner together, we partner on a one job. You have this one contractor that has the capacity, and you have this other contractor that had experience with doing something smaller, but the city will accept that experience. Now they partner together to perform a joint venture, and they can take down much larger projects. Unfortunately, we don't necessarily partner with each other. It's all about competition, and that's why my slogan is there's no competition, there's only potential partners. That's what we feel, that's how we feel. And so if there's a project that is beyond our capacity, because it's the Hannah Street project is beyond something that we can do. We don't have $108 million a line of credit sitting around somewhere with some bank where we can do that. We would need, if I was part of that project and wanted to take the whole project down, then now I would have to partner with people, maybe 4 or 5 different companies, form a joint venture, and now we have the ability to bid on and potentially win much larger projects than any one individual company could participate on and win. So it's all about partnership. You remember last segment, I said that learning how the ability to partner and leverage each other's skill set and leverage each other's skills is so important. It is, no matter what level you're in. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I think that's excellent, and one of the challenges, because I live in this area and I'm very intimately familiar with it, as I would say someone who is trying to find the ways to get involved in the project from a business standpoint. Even if I am an entrepreneur, my business doesn't line up with the project, right? So in some sense, I'm not a construction, I'm not a GC, I don't have a sub company that would be able to right now get into the construction part, maybe some of the other services. So I think we may have some chances to be involved in some other capacities, but the piece that will generate the millions of dollars that are going to be spent, this is over $100 million project. One of the things I find challenging about being in this community, and also being the size of this project, there are, and I echo some of the same sentiments. There are people saying there are no people of color on the project, and that's not exactly probably the truth in terms of being able to qualify. And that's the part that I think sometimes our communities get confused. And I think you explained it very well, that as much as we would like to see, companies of color come in and do this, you got to have experience, you got to have capacity, and even down to the details, the credits and all that stuff. And we tend to not think that deep sometimes because we don't have as many people involved in these types of industries and companies that have been around. So we have very kind of surface level, but we don't have deep. And I'm trying to get to my question here is, how do we get to these capacities where we can get these $100 million? When you said the partnering, but I'm going even deeper. Are we building enough people to come and fill a pipeline? Do we have enough people who will be able to put together a strategy that will allow us to build these kinds of opportunities to come our way? Because I think we'll continue to miss these if we're not built ready. And what I mean by that is the future of construction people, future of engineers, future of of urban planning and all that stuff like that. I don't believe we have enough people in those pipelines to even possibly challenge on the highest level of some of these big projects. And that's so who's to blame for that, or where can we go? Right.
Oh, you getting deep. You getting dirty deep. You getting down in there. You getting in there. All right, so we're getting real now.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it real
So-
because I feel it. I feel it living here, and I feel the frustration from my neighbors. And I'm saying, there is so much more granular that we gotta change a lot to be able to compete in this space.
Right. All right. So
where do we start?
Unfortunately, a lot of us live in the scarcity model instead of the abundance model. You know, they think that this little project is my project. I'm gonna milk it dry, and no other person, especially people that look like me, is gonna get a piece of this. I'm gonna, and instead of building the next wave of people, I believe that there is abundance. There's plenty of projects. There's plenty of $100 million projects. It's not something that I have to hoard and something that is my, and so it's a mindset thing. One of the reasons why I'm freely giving corner class is so that that next wave of investor will learn how to invest in Tampa, invest in communities. A lot of people think that investing gives it has a negative tone, and really it's not. If you think about it, they're buying an investor is buying a block to that community. They're buying the worst house in their community. When they're done, it's going to be the best house in their community. So yes, initially the community takes a hit because it decreased their property value. But then at the end of the day, the community gets some advantage because now it's probably the most expensive home that's sold in their community, which will raise the community property value. But more importantly, you're teaching that next wave of investor how to invest. It's a mindset, but then also it's a practical training. Now, getting back to your question. We have to build capacity in subcontractors so that they can emerge from a subcontractor to a primary contractor. Okay? The people that we hire on the little level that we do, and I am nowhere near where some of these guys that are where they can compete on a equal footing on the Hannah Street project. But the people that we hire for the jobs that we have, if they're not able to have the infrastructure to accept online stuff or manage we help them with that. We say that, listen, if you want to do business with us, these are the tools that you need to know how to use. This is how you accept payments. And if you don't, we will help you with that. So we're building their ability to be a subcontractor to us. The larger contractors, the ones that are near prime or prime, should build that capacity out to their subcontractor. Now, here's the dirty little secret, and I'm going to share with you guys about subcontracting. A lot of times, these jobs that are subcontracted out is the worst job with the least profit margin that they can subcontract out. If they have a managerial, typically, I don't want to get too specific because I'm not trying to point in the fingers. But let's say there's a job that has an 8% profit margin in it, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's a managerial job that has 30% profit margin in it. Well, they're going to sub out that 8% to a contractor, that minority contractor in most cases, that underbid. Now they have no margin. Something happens. The price goes up for concrete 1 or 2%, and now they're losing money. So they put themselves in a situation where they can't profit from that. The subcontractor. So now the subcontractor cannot invest in their company to build their capacity, and they never get out of that subcontractor mode. While the prime contractor is getting all of the profits from the subcontractor back, okay? And they're looking great. They say, Mr. City, hey, listen, I got 35% of participation like you wanted me to, but 25% of these guys didn't failed, And the city said, oh, that's just too bad. But they gave the worst job to that 25%. They set them up to fail.
Mm.
Scenario 2, let's say a bunch of brothers get together. Hey, I got 10 million. I got a line for 10 million. 5 of us, that's a $50 million people sitting at the table. You could do a lot of damage in the city of Tampa with $50 million on these little smaller projects. And then that entity had now 1 or 2 projects in, they got the experience. Now they can bid for $110 million projects because they're strong enough, they have a track record, and they have they have demonstrated the ability to do the job. But we don't do that. We prefer to compete against each other for crumbs instead of sitting at the table with each other getting the cake. We want the crumbs, but we don't want the cake.
That's a mindset. Hold on. All right, so woo-wee, shots fired.
Hey, you wanted to get that? You wanted to go there?
No, but this is exactly what we need. We need the truth to be uncovered. So once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, how they earn respect. And look, like I told you, I wasn't playing. This is the master class. This is Black History Month. It's your time to make history. Take his master class, understand this real estate game. Register while we going on commercial break. Once again, this is only here on In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everyone's a star. See you after the break. Once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. You know what? Here at Power Moves, we don't really talk about politics, but that's where you got to go to Angela Birdsong and her and her radio show when she comes on tomorrow, and you can ask her questions about, hey, how do we get to the politicians about how we make these power moves, right? But with that being said, we're going into our respect segment. And I think what's interesting about this conversation and what you've done so far, David, in establishing yourself is one of the questions that I want to ask you is, have you had the opportunity to reach out to folks outside of Tampa to partner up with them to let them know what's going on in order for you to get those funds? Perfect example. I know you and I had an offline conversation a couple years ago about Don Peebles and his fund for real estate investors and things of that nature. What was the impact of that if you pursued it, or what's been the respect level of other folks outside of Tampa trying to get involved?
Mm-hmm. We had a conversation. I remember it, but I did not pursue it at that time because I didn't have my vision has evolved over time, over the last couple of years, and so it's much more inclusive. It's much broader than when we talked back then, and so I think that with respect to partnering and getting respect from people outside of the Tampa Bay community, I've done that much more over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, it hasn't been with organizations necessarily with people that look like me. It's been with other organizations that I have two business coaches One will is actually he was at the Center Club when you did the came to do the Breakfast with the Executive. He spoke on day 4. Bill Walsh, great guy. None of these guys look like me, but they're still good guys, and he helped me expand my vision to outside of regional, being just a regional, a state player and a regional player to now I'm thinking more national and global, being a global player. That was a mindset shift for me. And say, David, look, instead of you pursuing just this, why don't you think about pursuing all of it? And this is how you can get there. And then I have another coach. He's with the Tom Ferry Network. Another great coach that helps me position myself as number one in my trade, the number one brokerage. When people think about the real estate transaction, I want them to think about community enterprises. So that person helps me be number one in my space, and then the other person helps me expand that space. So I think they're a great complement, and that's been a shift for me. You know, my corner class has only been like 2 years, and so the way I'm thinking now and the way I want to help now is a evolution that I wasn't necessarily there 3 years ago when we had that conversation.
You know, it's interesting. So, well, go ahead, Kev. You got something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think also, you know, it's fair to assess your business and understand that, you know, you may have diversified clients that allow you to do this. And as a businessman, you certainly have to make those decisions, businesswoman as well, on what's going to be good business. I'll never forget Bob Johnson. You know, he ran 2 basketball businesses, and one of them went away because as good as social good as it was, it did not make good business sense. And in some senses, when we do invest, we have to think like, I am investing to win, I am investing to profit. That's what businesses that stay in business do. So I can understand the need to, you know, have diverse partners. I'm considering a project myself with a company that is, you know, a predominantly white company, but they're looking for a diverse partner, and I'm looking to break into an industry that I believe could be very profitable for our company. So there are times where strategy and strategic alliances allow us to do different things for different reasons. My interest too is just from a standpoint of knowing, you know, how do you know when to do that, you know, in your work that you do? Like, some projects will have this kind of earmark and some will have this. Is it more fair for you to say, in this one I may not make the money, but I do very good or social good here, and that's worth a lot for me, and over here I make my money and do what I need to do that allows me to do this over here? How do you think about that? What, you know?
Right. I always go back to the 3 rules of business.
Okay. And this is universal. Let me write this down.
This is the universal rule of business. You can write this down. I ought to get this trademark.
This is power moves.
Rule number 1 of business: stay in business. That's rule number 1. Rule number 1 of business: stay in business. Rule number 2 in business is always make payroll. That's rule number 2. Rule number 3 in business is do good business. Okay? Good business sometimes may mean that, you know, I need to partner with these guys so that I can do these things, you know, with these other guys. But no matter what you're doing, you got to stay in business. You know, you can't help no one if your lights are off. You know, so again, My target, everyone has a perfect client. And for what we're trying to do with some of the real estate stuff, and we want to build affordable housing, that's my perfect client. That is true. But I still got to make a profit from that perfect client. You know, I'm not doing it to make a loss. And so when what that means is that, well, on some communities of scale, I may have to put mixed use homes there. I may have to put a rental component there. I may have to put if it's bordering or surrounding a particular segment that is upscale, I may have to put some upscale stuff there, so it's not a blight to the community, right? So you got to do good business. You got to do good business, and you got to make payroll. You know, so write that down. Stay in business. Make payroll and do good business. You follow those three things, you're going to be in business.
I'm happy you talked about that, and the fact that you're cognizant of who your ideal client is, because that's another. People respect when you are very focused and you know exactly what you're looking for, because people can help you the most. The other thing that I find interesting about you, and I want you to dedicate the next 4 minutes to share with folks on how to do business with you, where to find you, the masterclass. But during these next 4 minutes, I want you to talk about March 4th and why you feel it's so important from a respect level to plant seeds within the community and things. And because basically what Kevin had asked you, you are really doing it in terms of developing the subcontractors, developing individuals to become business owners and to understand real estate all the way up. So can you explain to us your involvement with the Urban League and other nonprofits in order for Carmena Enterprises to have, respect within Tampa Bay?
Yeah. And another thing, and I will, but one thing I want to talk about with respect, and here's the funny thing. No one has ever disrespected me when I signed their check. When I sign their check, I get immediate respect. It's can't a person of a particular color or persuasion can't say that guy is inferior to me because he's signing my doggone check. My name is on their check. So when you talk about the ultimate respect, start signing people checks. So, start signing.
That's the power move right there, boy.
That's the power move. That's the power move. So let's talk about how they can find me. The corner class. Did I get you? So corner class Tampa is you can Google it, corner class Tampa. We have roughly about a year and a half, 2 years of content. We're taking the next show is the first Wednesday of next month. So they can go and get that. It's free. We have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all Corner Class Tampa. And then a website, cornerclastampa.com. If you are new to the game or want to learn how to get in the game, I was just looking at it the other day and I was like, man, I told these guys this. If someone asked me the question, I spill all the tea. I say exactly how you can do it and what you need to do. So I great content. Wow. The need to partner with people that look like us is important to me. And so with the Urban League, especially the gala they're having on March 4th, my company is the title sponsor for the year for the Urban League. And so it's a significant investment, but Stan does a great job. Yeah. He has a great heart. Yeah. And if we can help him promote his message, I'm all in. And so I think that it's a win-win. Because not only does it provide capital for the Urban League to fulfill their charter, but then also it gives us visibility in a certain segment of the community that we are underrepresented. represented. And so that's why we partner with the Urban League. And that's, again, they have a gala on the 4th of March. For my other companies, community, most of the investor side is better just to come straight to me, 813-321-0817. We partner with investors on some projects. My acquisition company, we partner with, I think it's 12 investors last year. We want to build that up where not only are they getting the return on their investment, but then also I'm teaching them how to play the game with a one-on-one, 100% access to me on that project. So there's private Facebook group, there's tutoring. So at the end of the day, they're using their money. And a lot of people like that because last year, we did multiple projects. All the projects made money, and the worst return on a particular investor was 16% on his money, and then the best return was 37% on his money. So most of these guys have their money in the bank making what 0.12, whatever. That same amount of money can be used in real estate, getting on average 20% return on it in a 6-month period. So if you roll it, you can get more than that. But then also you're learning a skill set that you can use the rest of your life. That is playing the game. That's the ultimate power move. You're making money and you're learning and you're getting paid for it. You're getting a return on it. The other companies are primarily in, a traditional buy and sell company, property management company. So you bought a bunch of properties, you don't want to sell it yet. You definitely don't want to manage the property yourself. You don't want that 3 a.m. Hey, my toilet is stuffed. Could you bring? You don't want that call. So they have us, and we have people that do that 24 hours a day, 365/7. So that's the property management side. And then if you really want to get your license and be a real estate agent, be a real estate professional, Pay Night International School of Real Estate is where you want to go. That's how you can get your license and become a real estate professional and really learn the inner workings of the real estate game. Really be a true master of the game, a licensed professional. And what's interesting is that my partner with the school, Ann Thompson, she is super I'm the back end side of the school. She's the training. She's super passionate. That's all she really want to do. That's her purpose. And she taught me 14 years ago when I got 13 and a half years ago when I got my license. She was my instructor then. So this woman's been teaching for 20 plus years, super experienced. We got a bunch of other instructors that are part of her group, her core group. And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's going to be a statewide school that we're going to grow to multiple states. And in 6 months, have me back, and I'll be happy to report where we are with the school. It's going to be awesome.
Well, thank you, David. Once again, March 4th, Urban League. Go to Urban League Tampa Bay, Urban League of Hillsborough County.com to figure out more information about how to get tickets. It's a great event. I'll be there to support. And once again, this is another great power move. Thank you, David. We appreciate you dropping the gems and telling it like it is. We love you. You know what? We're gonna need to bring you back to start giving us the Tampa report, the Tampa real estate report, Tampa Bay real estate report. But on that note, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We'll see you next week, baby.
Thank you,
partner,
guys.
Kevin Carr. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you, my brother.